All right. Home straight. Molly can come in with me. Yeah. Come on, Mo. Come and have some quiet. Come on. Come on, Molly. Do you want to get up here? Do you want to get up here, Mo? Molly gets harassed by Lucia. And she does very, very well. You do well not to bite her, don't you? Hey? You send out a few warning shots, but you do well not to bite her. How's everybody doing? Good. Good. This has been lovely. We didn't know how busy it would be, who would be joining. But just thank you so much to everybody. Jerry, Cal, I think, and Andy, you've been here every day, and Ange, I think you've been in most days, if I'm not mistaken. Too, yeah. Kel, thank you so much for your support. And Colin, Kath, always. And Mary, oh, yep. Mary says, just put my son to bed. I'll be listening. I'm sorry to have missed the call so far. I only found out 2 hours ago this was happening. Oh, bless you, love. Well, Mary, they are already if you want to catch up, they are already out online. Feel free. They're there. You can watch them in your own time. Day 1 and day 2. So yeah, they're out there. Just use them. Share them if you've got friends who you think may benefit from it, who may be interested, share them. Yeah, they're there. We're doing this. Oh dear, Lucy's done. I think she's fallen over. We've done this, like we do these via donation things, so they become accessible to everybody. Yeah, we just hope people enjoy it and gain insight to it and start to live that more simplistic life. Start to see the simplicity of life. Because Aaron's absolutely right. You know, we do overcomplicate all life. We overcomplicate it. We think it has to be more complicated than it actually is. You talking to me there, Hell? No. We think it has to be more complicated than it actually is. Like Andy, I love what you just shared with me just before. How you came across the. Do you mind if I share that? What you just said? Oh no, you share it. Would you share it?
Yeah, if it's of any interest, I was just saying to Dave, he asked me how long I'd been around the principles, and I was telling him I kind of found it maybe 9 or 10 years ago, quite a long time ago. And I lived from it for a while, and I really got it. And I got some insights, and it was amazing. And I remember meeting some spiritual friends who managed to convince me that if that simple thing that this world have found gave you that, imagine what we could give you. And then I went off 7 years through 7, 8 years via different routes, all in my head, dealing with now suddenly on top of the 3 principles, I've got samskaras to deal with and childhood trauma to find, and so complicated, so unnecessarily complicated. And just sitting here with you this weekend has reminded me of that. And there's no need to look anywhere else. And seeking is hell. I don't know. You've probably all been seekers at one point, but it's hideous because you can't find it. And the principles just tells us that it's all unnecessary. And I just want to thank everyone for reminding me of that. And it comes through with this group, I think, in a way, and with 3 principles, people generally, in a way that it doesn't come through with other types of spiritual groups, because everyone's trying to prove how enlightened they are. And this is so honest, this group. And I did 2 of the retreats virtually before I joined this one. And Kelly and Paul, and seeing how this has affected you, it's so real. You just don't see that anywhere else. So thanks. And yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much. Sorry, I haven't got on there a bit.
Don't apologise, please. Don't apologise. Bloody hell. Do you know what? I really appreciate that sentiment. And you know, it's interesting you say you become this seeker and you go in search of this thing. And I often liken that to saying to you, like, Andy, got to find this thing. What is it? Don't know. Where is it? Don't know. Is there a map? No. Go find it. this search for this thing that we don't actually know what we're actually searching for. And it's like all along, when you actually find it, you find what it is peace. It's the absence of the search. That's it. What we're looking for is the absence of the search for happiness, the search for this, the search for that, the search for all the answers. Because the moment you find that stillness and that quiet, there's your answer. Oh, this is nice. Oh, this is life before a judgment. This is life before, what's the word? Concept. So all our concepts are in the world of creation. Too late. It's not that. Molly has already found the answer. Oh, Molly's lovely. Molly's wonderful. That you little girl. You just don't like that human puppy thing, do you? The human puppy drives you mad, doesn't it?
What's a human puppy? Or is there a
Lucia.
particular human? Pardon?
Lucia.
Lucia loves Molly.
Lucia adores Molly. She adores Pebble. She's all over them, but they really don't like her. So every now and again, she gets the odd warning shot. Occasionally, they make contact. They don't bite hard. They're just like, ah. But it's not fair to put the dogs through it. Just try and keep Lucia away from the dogs, because Molly's quite happy sat in here with me. Just get me away from that human puppy. Funny old thing though, Andy lad. There's this massive belief in humanity. We have to do all kinds of shit in order to be a somebody. And we always were whole, perfect, capable of dealing with all of life. Just our concepts, our thoughts that suggested differently. Tricky little trickster. I mean, when you see it, when you wake up to it, you're like, well, how the hell did I ever not see that before? Was it Jack Pransky wrote a book called Somebody Should Have Told Us, I think it is. And then you discover the simplicity and you get lost in the complexity again. You remember the simplicity. You come back. What I love about it is all the consequences that come along with it. Like, I don't know. Like Callum was saying, the more compassion for all things. What a beautiful soul. Forgiveness. What a beautiful soul. I remember, told this story a few times, but a couple on here probably haven't heard it, but it was Jen and I working out in South Africa, and we were working with, there's about 30 people in the room. We're doing a 3-day event in this charity in a township in Cape Town. And there was this small lady there, she all dreads and stuff, and she loved dancing. She just danced everywhere. She could frigging dance, could the girl, like she was ice. Proper feisty. And I remember day one, she just sat there like glaring at us. And day two, we came back and said, has anybody seen anything? And the mates were like, nudging her, go on, speak. She's like, no, I'm speaking. I said, look. All right. I said, stop annoying her. I said, right. I said, you don't have to tell anybody. I said, but you do have to tell me at lunchtime. And she went, all right. Lunchtime came. I said, come with me. I went into this other room. I said, what were they nudging you for? She said, well, a few days ago, my neighbour came into my house and she stayed around a while and then she left. And she said, I noticed my mobile phone had gone missing. She said, and I knew where my mobile phone was. It was on the side. She said, so the only place my mobile phone could have gone is with my neighbour. She stole my phone. And she said, so with that, I stormed down to her house. I banged on her door. She said, a neighbour opened the door. She said, I shouted at her, give me back my phone, give me back my phone. And she said, before I knew it, her husband was coming through. She said, I walked up to him. She said, I pushed him. I called him all these names. She said, I shouted at him. She said, I actually wanted him to beat me. She said, I wanted him to beat my face so that I could phone the police and they would have to take this seriously. She said, and then I stormed through and I found a brother fixing my phone. She said, my phone wasn't broken. He was trying to fix my phone. They had stolen my mobile phone, she said. And she said, and I've been so angry with them. And she said, and then I came to your event yesterday. She said, and it made no sense. She said, but I went home. I sat down on my chair. And she said, before I knew it, she said, I stood up and I walked out. And I walked down to my neighbour's house. She said, and I was just knocking on the door. And she said, the lady answered the door. She said, and last night I just looked at her and said, I'm sorry for how I spoke to you. She said, we are neighbours. I will need you and you will need me one day. And she said, with that, her husband came through. And she said, I apologise to him. I'm sorry for how I spoke to you. I'm sorry for how I treated you. And she said, but I will take back my mobile phone now. And she said, they went and got my mobile phone. It was still broken. She said, and I looked at it and she said, I will fix this. She said, and I want to forget this ever happened. And she said, with that, she said, I turned around and I walked back home. She said, and that's what happened last night. I remember thinking, and I said to this girl, I said, that's amazing. I said, they nicked your mobile phone. I said, do you feel like you've mugged yourself a little bit? You know, they did nick your phone. Do you feel like you've mugged yourself a little bit, letting them off the hook? And she said, no. She said, Dave, the weight of the world has come off my shoulders. I remember at that point, I walked out of the room and I walked into this courtyard. And Jenny and Jill, who was with at the time, Jill Baronetti, they were eating some lunch. And they got me some lunch and I sat on this wall eating some lunch. And one of the ladies on our first training walked past us and she was crying her eyes out. And I said to her, what's going on? Are you all right? And she said, no. She said, I'm not all right. I said, what's happened? She said, I've just found out my brother-in-law's been shot dead. I said, what? I said, how come? She said, he's a taxi driver. He pulled up at the wrong taxi rank and somebody stuck a gun through the window and shot him in the head. I said, when did this happen? Should I've just found out about it now. And I always say this, it was like that lady's story. It was like the contrast in there. In the space of like 2 or 3 minutes, the contrast in conversation, one of forgiveness and one of total holding a grudge and putting somebody's life to end with a gun. The contrast was stark. It was massively stark. You know, in townships, life can be really cheap and really violent. It can be a really violent spot. There's a lot of desperate people. And I remember thinking to myself, that lady, she killed the violent timeline dead. She killed the violent timeline. She didn't have to sleep with a knife underneath a pillow. She didn't have to worry about, are they coming for me in the night? Are they going to burn down my house, which is what happens sometimes? How am I going to get my own back on them? She killed the violence timeline dead. And she opened up a channel of communication and learning for everyone involved. The consequences of understanding the simplicity of life, gaining insight into it, they're immeasurable. They're countless. They're as many as what there are experiences. Forgiveness, the gratitude, peace of mind. Time slows down. Has anybody else noticed that? I find time slows down. You just seem to have more time. You seem more efficient with your time because you're not overthinking everything, and thinking speeds time up. My friend pointed out, you know, when you're a kid, before you get this really busy mind, Christmas takes forever to come round. As you get older, you're like, bloody hell, is it Christmas again? Consequences are just immeasurable. Well-being, more joy, more appreciation, more awe. More awe for the worms and the leaves and the woodlice. More acceptance of ourselves. More peace with who we are and how we show up and how we're feeling. I don't know of a single other modality that doesn't see feelings as a problem. That isn't trying to change something. I don't know a single other modality that isn't trying to change something. You must become more. You can become more. You must become better. You must become healthier. You must blah, 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 X, Y, Z, whatever it be. This is the only conversation I've ever come across that says, you're already all right. You just think you're not. You're already the spiritual being you are searching for. You've just created a concept that you compare yourself to. Or somebody else's concepts. Beautiful gift. And then when you become aware of it, you get to play with it. You get to become like the child, as Jesus spoke about. To enter the kingdom, you must become like the child. What does that mean? It means you find awe for life. Everything's amazing. Wow, Lucy is wow at everything. Wow, I show her the millipedes and she loves the millipedes, like Jenny was saying in our shower. Every morning there's at least 4 millipedes. Where the hell they come from, I do not know. She loves the millipedes. She loves the spiders. Wow, wow, look at that. She hasn't created a concept of what it is yet. So therefore, she doesn't think she knows. Therefore, the magic is still there. You see, the magic of life only disappears the moment we conceptualize it and we think we know something about it. You know, when you remember that you don't know anything about it and you get to sit there and look at, or stand there and look at it with fresh eyes, you start to find that magic again. You start to see the magic of life, the magic of existence. And you realize, I'm that too. Wow, that's me as well. I'm that magical thing. In fact, everybody is. Sorry, mate. Does anybody want to say anything? There's always deeper. There's always more to see. But to see deeper is to see more simply. It just becomes more simple again. The only limitation, I believe, that is on mankind is a thought. A belief that something isn't possible. I personally believe that's the only limitation that exists on the planet. A limitation, an edge that we create within our own mind, an impassable barrier of thought. I like to think that perhaps we as human beings have seen enough now to know that what we thought was impossible, we've managed to achieve time and time again. And perhaps our impossible boundaries are just imagination. I'd love to hear what stood out for people over this last 3 days. If there's something that's really stood out. Colin, Kath.
Yeah, it's we've been having difficulties with our Wi-Fi recently, but we've managed to watch day one, part one, and I'm going to contact you on Telegram as to how I'm going to pay it forward tomorrow. And I think you're going to love it. But I got two things from that part one. I was blown away, and one of them was what you were saying about listening. Now, I've heard Sid Banks saying that, and I've heard you saying that, but it never sort of resonated with me, if you know what I mean, or I didn't understand it properly. But obviously, since that late retreat, now I get it. And so I was thinking, wow, you know, how did I miss that? And then the other one is what Jenny was saying when she was with Lucia, and it was like a black and white screen. And she was saying that when she first came across the principles, that she had all these concepts around it, but then she realized that's not necessary. And then she went to see a friend who was a body stress therapist or whatever that is, and it released her backache. So I came away just from that part one on Saturday morning with two good realizations, good insights, if you will.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. You see, this is it. You always go deeper, and it's like it always makes life simpler. Life always, if we're going deeper, it's becoming simpler. Thanks, Cole. Really appreciate that, man. And look forward to hearing from you tomorrow.
Yeah. I'll put it on Telegram.
Cool, man. Thank you. Bless you, buddy. Thank you so much. Anybody else?
Hey, Dave.
Jerry.
You know, I don't get those big aha moments. I come across this back at the first of the year, February, first part of March, I believe. And it's just kind of trickled in. It draws you in, is what it does. It doesn't, I haven't had a big slap in the face insight, but it's trickled in so much that you just know. Otherwise, I wouldn't still be here.
True.
So that's just how it's happened with me. It's just kind of slow and steady, and you don't, it's just there.
Jerry, that sounds quite insightful to me, that mate.
This has been a very calming 3 days of calm. Look at this, man. I'm just kicked back listening. You know, it's soothing, and it's all like common sense. It's like, why didn't we know this from, years ago?
There's your insight, mate.
Exactly. Just bits here and there, nothing. That's what I say, no big slap in the face, aha moment, but hey, it's still there. Pass it on.
I think that's pretty insightful what you've said there, mate. I really do. Everything you said then. To some people, it's a trickle. I often think that's actually almost kinder in a lot of respects, a lot easier to kind of, it's like not coming up from the deep and getting the bends too fast kind of thing. You come up with a sensible pace. You keep your bearings. But I love everything you just said. That was beautiful. And I really appreciate you being here. You haven't missed a single bit of it, Jerry, and it hasn't gone unnoticed. And we really appreciate that. First one here was Jerry every time, every day, every day.
I'm punctual. It drives me crazy. That's a thing for me. Man, I cannot be late.
Especially not if you haven't even left the house.
Exactly, but it doesn't matter what I do. I'm always early.
Oh, bless you, man. That's ace. Right, you need to teach me how to do that. Kel, thank you, Jerry, man.
Thank
God
you.
bless. How are Kelly?
Hiya. I was just
Hiya.
thinking, based on what Jerry said and the fact that obviously I've been on quite a few retreats in person. I've been on the mentorship program, been around this for a while now. And I found that this whole thing with like having insights, sometimes it's a real, like, for me, it can be a real sort of slow burner, like, but it's been like since the beginning, it's been like a balm that I've been able to kind of like come back to. Sometimes insights come thick and fast, and sometimes I can feel them coming and they almost feel painful. And then I have a new view of a situation. I'm like, oh, how did I see it like that? And then at other times it's just, yeah, it sometimes it's sort of my understanding seems to sort of speed up and I have loads and loads of insights. And then other times it just kind of settles into a slow, lazy river. And I suppose it's a bit like how a river would be. Sometimes if it's a lot of stuff going on, it's moving a bit faster. Other times it's chilled out. And then I don't know which one I prefer. But I like the fact that there's this kind of background knowing that I sort of picked up, that came over me, that sort of permeated me on the first retreat, that's never really left. And the insights of the energy has sort of changed over the years, and I really appreciate that. Sometimes I can feel like I really, really understand something, and then another time I can go, like, totally not understand it. And then when I get that feeling of not understanding something, generally speaking, something's coming up. My feelings are kind of showing me, and that point me back to that. They just point me back to that beautiful space. I seem to always go back to that space in the end, even though I can come off track a bit and feel a bit bonkers sometimes, get caught up in stuff. But there's an acceptance of that I don't kind of fully go into it anymore. And I don't think I was able to do that before, sort of coming across the 3 principles. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, bless you, Kel. Oh, I love that, love. One of the hallmarks of what I think a good insight is you can't explain it.
Yeah, those feeling insights are pretty nuts. Just, you don't know what's happened, but you've had some sort of insight. And it's like, oh, I just feel different.
Something's shifted, something's moved within ourselves. You can't put it into words. Somebody says, "What did you do?" No, nothing. Well, what? Can you talk to me about it? No, I don't know. Well, you're different. Yeah, no, yeah, I feel different. But you didn't do anything. No.
Yeah. People just sense the energy of that difference, don't they?
Yeah, we do first. And I think that is quite often people think that an insight must come with some kind of thinking content, a narrative, a story along with it. Ooh, blah, 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 blah. But no, I don't see anybody on this screen who hasn't been touched by this conversation at some point. And I know that came about. And when it came about, it was a subtle shift, a new perspective born. You couldn't put words to it. You couldn't even explain it. It just happened. I just woke up different. No, Baba. You saying that? Yeah, turn that one down. You put it outside.
Turn it down. I'm saying
You're
goodbye.
right, Baba.
Tissue.
Tissue? You got your tissue? You look like you've needed tissue. You've been crying?
Oh.
You don't say anything. What's your ex? I
Um,
got you.
And yeah, I don't know how quiet she'll be. I don't know if you've been able to hear her the whole time in the other room.
A little
She's-
bit.
She's been busy. She's had stuff to do. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone. I know I haven't been as much a part of it as some of the older ones, but it's been really nice just to sit and listen to everyone. I've been really grateful to be part of it. But Lucia is in a mummy mood.
She's very much in a mummy mood.
Really only since the start of the retreat. But I was saying to Dave, it's interesting when I'm with her. And I think over the last few days, trying to have the retreat on it in my ear, and still playing with her and stuff. Like they sense it, they know if you're not fully conscious and with them. And I think actually we all feel that when we're with someone and they're not really with us. So then she's got louder. So it's been really interesting. So at different times I've just had to completely like zone out of the talk and be present, and then I just see her mood just go down and just calm, and she's very good at showing me where my mind's at. But thank you for being patient with us. We have got a nearly 20-month-old baby, and we still want to do these things, so we just go ahead and do it anyway.
Yeah.
But it's really nice. I've been a little bit a part of it, and I've been able to listen in.
We bought her a gecko today, a little rubber gecko. And she saw this gecko in
I got the gecko, gave it to her, and then she just gave it back to me and went, "Gecko, no," and just like gave it back to me. So I said she doesn't want it, so I put it back. And then Dave she walked out the shop, and then she just looked at Dave and was like, "Gecko, no." So then Dave thought it was funny to go back into the shop and buy the gecko, and now he keeps tormenting her with it.
she loves it. So I gave her the gecko, and she looked at it and she went, "Gecko, no." And she walked out the room. She walked across the landing. She put it down by the bin to begin with, and then turned around to walk back, and then thought better of it, turned around, went back, emptied all the stuff out the bin, put the gecko in the bin, and walked off, did she?
And took her breadsticks out the bottom of the bin.
Took it, yeah. So the gecko couldn't eat her breadsticks. Gecko, no. Do you want to share anything about insight? That's just a conversation we're on.
That's one of my favourite talks at one of the big 3 principles conferences was with Linda Pransky and Elsie Spittle, and I think it must have been probably 15 years ago. It was quite early on, and it was in the old venue, and it was called Insight Without Content. And they just did this wonderful talk about how really most of the time our insights don't have content. There's just like a shift that happens within us, and then we try and find words to put to them. Sometimes it feels obvious because you have an insight around a particular subject, I guess. Oh, Daddy.
You did make a mess of that.
There you go.
I'd have
But-
got upset with that.
I do like that most of the time when I've had insights, I can't really put words to it. And then, I don't know, there's a shift in consciousness and a shift in feeling. And you realise it's not really in the words anyway. And then there's been other times, like I remember when you had a big shift in insight, and I asked you, and I was like, "What was the insight?" And you're like, "I don't know," and you were just laughing your head off. And I think that's the cool thing. It doesn't really matter. And then another way, someone was saying, sometimes it's just a new thought that's helpful in the moment. So I feel like there's so many different ways of looking at insight, and I think seeing that it's something that's come from beyond or before, and it's something that's relevant and helpful for you. And I think that's the beautiful thing, because this is so personal, but also so impersonal. It's mad. It's like this impersonal intelligence brings us what we need for our life. And I think some of the things that I've learned is I need to speak up more. I need to be a bit more assertive. And you've learned I need to keep my mouth shut and be slightly less assertive sometimes. And so it's not the same message that we all get. So that's got content, and it's really helpful and practical. But I think those ones that you have where there's a shift and you've got no idea what it is you've seen, it's wordless. I feel like that's closer to the kind of the essence or the truth of the beforeness, of the spiritual nature of the principles and where it all comes from. But I don't think one's better than the other. because actually I'm here as a human being, and the practical things that I've had that have been helpful have blown my mind. And I was saying to Dave, like, I've in my life experienced quite a lot of insecurity and jealousy around women and different things. And I said to him, it was really funny, we were in a cafe the other day and the waitress was beautiful and she had these stunning eyes. And I said to her, God, wow, look how beautiful that girl's eyes are. And then when we were driving back in the car, I said to her, God, it's weird. For years, that's the sort of thing that I would have then felt so insecure about and thought, I wonder if whoever my partner was at the time, like, I wonder if they found them more attractive, and I wonder, I don't feel good enough. And I had all this thinking around it. And I said to him, that was something that almost plagued me in my life. And the other day I was just like, wow, that's not there.
I have to be
That's-
honest, I was quite surprised you pointed it out.
But it's just,
Am I allowed to look or not?
well, it's just one of those things that, like I often say, I've had so much shift and insight in the principles, and I've been so grateful for it. But for some reason around jealousy, there's been a lot of stuff that hasn't fallen away. And since having Lucia, my focus has kind of gone from me and how my life, and it's just like, she just needs my attention. And my shift in focus to just doing what I need to do as a mum has meant I'm not thinking about myself, and all these things I thought were problems for me or things I hadn't had insight around have just vanished. And I'm like, wow, it really is that when your focus shifts away from what you think is a problem, they vanish. But I think in my mind, I think Aaron spoke to it a bit earlier, it's almost been like, yeah, but this is an area I don't see, and this is an area I've got a problem. And so it's still been something that I've bought into and does seem real to me. But it hasn't been through trying that it's vanished. It's been through either my attention's just shifted to something way more important. And I'm really grateful for it, because it was such a freedom to just go, oh, she's a really beautiful girl. And she had, and you were like, wow, her eyes are like a girl version of Archie, my nephew. And it seems like such a small thing, but you've got no idea the amount of thinking I've done about this kind of stuff in my life, and the amount of arguments and upset and distress it's caused me. So it's just, I love that I've been around this 18 years. It'll be 19 years in May. And I think people always make that sort of cheesy joke, it's the gift that keeps on giving. It really is. I just think there's no end. And I love what Aaron said about it's so simple, but the depth of it. And one of the things people said, well, why didn't Sid try and get out there more? Because it was only really the last few years when he knew he was dying that he tried to get out there a bit more. And I said, well, he just had a small core group of people that he wanted to take really deep. He wanted to take a core group of people and get them really deep in their understanding, because then he knew they'd go off and spread it and share it. And I kind of see how people have been around this, 40, 50 years, and still things that they notice or insights they have, it's infinite. I think the level of peace and kind of well-being that comes from this inquiry is incredible. And like each year going to different conferences, like for 10 years really, this was my entire life. Like I was either filming, teaching, being at conferences. It was just they were like the Three Principles community was kind of my family and a bit of my upbringing. I was 23 when I came across it, and I kind of see a lot of people almost like aunties and uncles and people that were just so much part of my my time. And every single year I was at a conference, you'd meet people and you'd see a shift or a change or a lightness. And one of the things I often say is like, Vicky, you think age. We just had Linda Ramus with us, who's been around this years, and I'm like, you look exactly the same as you did when we started filming the movie site in 2009. And there's like a lightness, and there's always politics in communities, but the thing I've loved is it's almost like despite the politics, you see everyone come together at a conference and respect each other, even though they see things differently and teach differently. There's a fundamental truth and point that they're all trying to point to, and I think there's a respect in that. And I'm thoroughly grateful for the community. And I know I loved it when Aaron said earlier, I've had a lot of thinking at times about people dissing the Three Principles, and I just don't think it needs protecting or defending. I feel like when people get touched by it, it's enough. And the other beautiful thing is Linda Ramus, she's a fantastic unsung hero in the Three Principles community. I remember having a chat with her once about, we need to get this out more and we need to do this. And it was when we were creating the Three Principles movie site. And she just said, well, the thing is, I'm interested in when do people change. She was like, it's not about the principles, it's when do people change? And she goes, people change through insight, people change through new thought. That can happen when you're out on a walk. That can happen when you're on a CBT course or a yoga course. So the insight can, because it's from within us. So she said, so she loves the principles and the simplicity of it, and that's been her way of sharing, but she's not kind of
But she sees the principles as the essence of
everything.
of
Yeah.
everything.
And it's so, she's just so relaxed with it, and it means that she gets to have deep conversations with people that think very differently. Like one of her very close friends had completely opposite political opinions to her, but they managed to stay really good friends. And I don't know if you guys, but I've known a lot of people that relationships have broken down, friendships have ended because of political views. And I think that's a nice thing. You're like, you see that your made up dream isn't true. So you can respect other people's made up dream as being their dream. And that's a really, really nice thing.
Yeah.
Like you always say I should be a diplomat, because sometimes we've been on a walk with a friend once and she was trying to tell me all this stuff and you knew it was the opposite of pretty much everything I thought. And I asked questions, I got interested, I was fascinated that to her that was the truth. And you said, God, you should have been a diplomat. There's so many times I wanted to say something about, do you not realise that I feel like I don't need to do that? Even with the principles, like I've got friends that still think it's a load of rubbish. They're like, oh, that's stuff that you do. I'm like, cool. Whatever.
Thank you, Baba.
But I am going to get this little one to bed. The hype up seems to happen when she's actually really tired.
She's pelting me with little paper balls.
You're going to say goodnight to everyone.
Say no night, Baba. Say no night.
I look exactly
Say
ready
bye
for bed.
bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. We have a cuddle before you go to bed. Probably not. Want a cuddle? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you everyone for being here. It's been really nice.
It has been really nice. I really enjoyed this.
I think the last one we did was in January next year, and we normally do 2 or 3 a year. So we'll be doing another one. We're going to try and get back to doing 3 a year. Actually advertise it, tell people about it.
Yeah,
Colin
try-
and Catherine are
try and be a
helping us
bit
a bit
more
with our
On it,
Business.
business wise. Thanks, Cole. Thanks, Cal.
Yeah, so sorry, Mary, that you only just realised it's happening. It's probably because of our really poor marketing, advertising skills. But we have got a WhatsApp group, which it was just for community group that we run on Monday nights, but it's now for general information. So if anyone is interested to stay in touch, that's generally the group we're the most active on. And it is just information about courses coming up, community group, or interesting talks or things we think. So if you want to do that, if you put your number in the chat, we can add you to the WhatsApp group.
Yeah. Any videos we make or anything like that, I'll go up. Yeah, we try not to have it as a communication thing for people between themselves, because people quickly leave. So we just keep it to a minimum. It's not one you get bombarded by. Is it?
I mean, we don't necessarily always remember to advertise our events unless it's not that busy, but we are getting on it because Colin and Catherine have told us the importance of it.
Well done, Cole.
And also we've got our YouTube channel, which is Freedom Thinking, and that sort of notifies you about different videos that we've released and things.
So yeah, please like and subscribe.
Well done.
Is that right, Cole? Thanks, mate. Thanks, Cole. Cole taught me that one.
We feel so wrong saying it.
Yeah, doesn't it? Right,
You know,
bedtime.
it's bedtime.
Love you, Baba.
Not bedtime. So
Good night, Baba.
Love you.
Love you.
Good night, everyone. My granddad will say good night to granddad. It's granddad. Here he is.
You got the phone? Sure. See, the illusion starts very early on. Helen.
I just saw a message came up. I didn't see who it was from about the recordings. They're already available, aren't they? Or some of them are.
Yeah.
That wasn't why I
Yes.
raised my hand, but I did just see that.
Oh, well done. Yes, well done. Brill,
I know they're
Mary.
available. I've already started listening to them.
I'll just Helen, just bear with me one sec. I'll write down this number. +31. I'm joking. Z- Okay, yeah, if is that 01? Yeah, if you Marina, if you look on Freedom Thinking, if you type in Freedom Thinking, that you'll find our channel, I guess it's called.
Yeah,
yeah,
on YouTube.
on YouTube, yeah, you'll find the videos loaded up onto YouTube. Type in Freedom Thinking into that channel, and you'll find the channel Freedom Thinking. Cool. Helen, what were you going to say? Thanks for organising this, love.
I can't remember what I was going to say now. I'm
Oh,
a bit
sorry.
distracted. I think no, that's fine. No, I wanted to listen to Jen. I think it was about we were sharing about insights and stuff, weren't we?
Well, the
Um,
question: what are people getting from this? What have they got from this?
Yeah, yeah, and then but people were talking. So Jerry and Kelly were talking about insights, weren't they? Yeah, and it kind of reminded me of something that's kind of been like occurring to me like before this retreat as well. Like there's like what is an insight, and my experience has definitely been, you know, like Jerry's described, with the kind of like the dripping tap, but in a good way, like a slow one. And actually when I've had, because I have had a couple of insights that seemed really big at the time, but they didn't seem like, I don't know, they seemed like a really big insight, and then it kind of felt like they fell away. So I almost don't want big insights now, because they can kind of like see, I don't know, like the thinking about them, it's almost like, oh, I've had this insight, suddenly everything's going to change. And I guess what I'm really trying to say is that I think when we think we know what insights are, it's not helpful. And they're like, it's really easy to see this like holy grail of, I'm going to get this insight and then this is going to happen. And I think the more insights I've had, the more I'm not really sure I really know what an insight is. And also I was kind of realizing recently that if someone were to say to me, so what was it that really helped you? What has really helped you see things differently? I couldn't answer that. Like I could probably come up with like, oh well, I remember when so and so said that seemed really helpful, but I don't really know. And like, and there was I mean, I noticed as well when I was listening to the recording of day one, and Jen said something about listening to Sydney Banks when she saw him in person. And I've heard her say this before, but like when I heard it like this time, it I guess it landed a bit more, about when she was saying that she just suddenly realized that he'd already given all the answers, and someone had asked something about trauma, and she said, well, when you see this for yourself, you'll know what to do. And I found that kind of landed differently, particularly when I'm thinking about, like, say, like my daughter or whatever. Like it's still easy to get caught up in fixing, even though I've seen in loads of other areas there is no fixing, there is nothing to apply. There's not like I've in some ways I really get it when you say, well, there isn't anything to apply. These aren't things to apply. But then I can see that sometimes I still get a bit lost and I don't really notice it.
No,
Pardon?
no.
Well, I don't know, you've gone really quiet on my computer.
Me too.
So yeah, that I think that was. Oh, and then the other thing I was going to say was, I thought it was funny when you were talking about your mum teaching Lucia the word no, because I'm pretty sure like she's heard people say it at the time.
No, it was definitely my mum.
Okay.
I think it was my mum she heard it from, should I say, like what you've just been describing. The insight of no was was one I was hoping she'd hold back till she was at least, I don't know, 16. She can use it. Well, she can use it for everybody else, just not towards us. Luce, would you eat that? No. Luce, can you come away from the fire, please? No. I remember when we were working out in South Africa, we did some work in this Jewish area, Orthodox Jewish community, Johannesburg, and it was Shabbos, so it was Friday night. It was about 4 o'clock, sunset about 5 o'clock. Obviously, Shabbos, for people who don't kind of understand Shabbos, Shabbos is is the holy time for in Judaism, whereby once the sun sets on the Friday night, there's no electronics, there's no toil, effectively, there's no work until the sun sets again on the Saturday night. So 24 hours or so, you have this period of just being with your family. You can't drive your vehicle, can't even turn on a light switch. All food's already prepared. There's no washing up during that time. There's no cleaning. It's just time spent with the family, prayers. I think it's a really beautiful idea. For a couple of weeks afterwards, Jen and I did it. We just had no mobile phones. We just had Shabbos, our own Shabbos kind of thing. And well, I remember it was Shabbos. It was about 4 o'clock at night. Sun was setting in an hour, and this lady came, said, "I want to know about your program." She was a lawyer. She come with a little pad and a pen. "Is it going to affect my religion?" I don't know. I don't no idea. I don't know. She grilled us, and I'm like, "It's going dark. It's going dark, love." And she's like, yeah. I'm like, bloody hell, 2 hours later, she's still here. And I got to the point where I was like, oh, God, no. Do you know what, love? I don't even want you on this program. Don't even want you on this 1,000,001 questions. Bang, 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 like I was stood in the dock. And then all of a sudden I got filled with this like love for this lady. I don't know where it came from, just this compassion for this lady. I think I just saw a lady who really overcomplicated life. I suddenly felt this love, and I said, do you know what? I don't care if you don't want to be on our course. You've got to be on our course. I think it'll be fun. Okay. She came on. This was a 6-month program. She sat there with a pad and paper the whole time, writing away. I said, she won't mind me. She won't mind me saying this. She'll speak about it herself. She's called Leia. I said, Leia, you don't need to take notes, love. She went, yeah, I do. I said, no, you honestly, you don't. Look, it's how I learn. I said, but this learning, trust me, just please trust me on this. Look, it's how I learn. I'm going to do it my way. Oh, all right. A couple of weeks later, she's still banging on questions. Bang, bang, bang. The rest of the room seems to be quieting down, or a lot of the room starting to quieten down. Still banging out questions. About 4 months in, she comes up to me. She went, how does this work then? I said, what do you mean? She said, I'm quite annoyed. I said, what do you mean? She said, everything's starting to get easier. I feel a lot kinder. But I haven't done anything. How does it work? I said, I've been trying to talk to you about that the whole time. By the end of it, she put down a pad and everything, and she totally changed. And she said to me at the end, she said, I'm still so annoyed. She said, I still cannot understand how I've changed so much in such a short period of time. She said, the fact I can't explain it drives me mad. I said, I can't explain it. I said, but isn't it beautiful? Isn't it a beautiful thing? I can't explain insight. I can't even explain thought. Can't explain consciousness. Can't explain mind. It's just not something we invented. It's something that thought we were all a good idea. Every single one of us. They're a good idea. I'm going to create that. I'm going to create Andy. I'm going to create Helen. I'm going to create Jerry. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to give them the capacity to create all kinds of experiences, but I'm not going to let them know that. I'm going to let them figure that out for themselves and see what they do with it. See how lost they can get before they start to find themselves again, find their true essence again, and realize they were never separate. They were never separate from it, from the love that unites all things. The love that creates everything. They were never separate from it. The separation never once took place. But they had the capacity to believe that it did. And in it it caused hell. It created hell. And they had joyous times in amongst it, fun times, and then they went searching in all kinds of ways because they knew fine well that there was something they were missing. There was some point that they were missing. There was something that they were searching for. So some of them went to drugs and the wonderful euphoric experiences, and they were like, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. This is it. So they carried on taking the drugs, and before long, the drugs got too heavy. It was never the drugs. Try drink. It's never the drink. Try exercise. It was never the exercise. It was always within us. It was always there. We just didn't know it. It just is, man. It just is, Jerry, yeah. Just always has been. Well done, Marina, by the way. Well done. Yeah, whilst we're on that, if anybody else wants their number added to the WhatsApp group, please just send me a message. Mary, could I ask you to send me your surname? And where you are, if that's possible. Just what country you're in. And if you send that to me on a direct message, that'd be cool. Thanks, love. Yeah, if anybody else wants their name added to the WhatsApp list, just text it through as a direct message to me. Anybody else? Oh, Mary, my apologies. You've already said you're from the Netherlands. Thank you, love. The wind's really blowing outside. I like the wind. You can't see it. You've never seen the wind in your life. You feel it. I think it's like that. You can't see it, but you feel the effect of it. It's undeniable. Can anybody even remember what they said at the beginning? And I know some people aren't here now. Fly. Helen, did you put something on the bottom?
What's that? Sorry, is that me you're talking to?
You're here now. That'll do. Yours was acceptance of self.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
feel with
So mine was the acceptance. My query was basically self-acceptance, and also other people accepting me who I am now and not who I was, you know, so not keep, I just had this big overwhelming thing of feeling people that were trying to pull me back all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, and remind me of, I don't know, just not accepting me now. And I think what I've got from this weekend is self-accept. Obviously, as I accept myself fully, then like I really liked what you spoke about the characters and the who we create, you know, and it's always coming from inside us 100%, regardless what goes on. And that really sort of touched a space. I've heard you say that before, but I don't know, this time it was different. And I think the insight around the sort of trees and understanding that everything has an order and everything has a place and a time, if that makes sense, you know. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, I think I've answered the sort of question, I suppose. Yeah.
I put a line through it on the board. Are you happy with it? Acceptance of self. That's all I actually wrote down was acceptance of self. Can I put a line through it if you were satisfied that you've had it addressed? And you've had movement on it. If you haven't had movement on it, I wouldn't put a line through it.
No, yeah, I have, and I've seen that as I accept myself and drop all my ego, all my stuff, then my whole reality looks very different.
Cool.
Nothing to apologize for.
Thank you. Are you watching telly at the same time? Busted. There's a lot of busting people tonight. All right. Thanks, lovely. Send her our love. Was that Brooke? Hiya, Brooke, love. Loads of love. I love that kid. All right. Who else had something on the board? I should have put a name next to it, really. Jerry, what was yours, sir? Listening, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it.
How's that?
You could put a line through it.
All right. Could you see if is there anything that's kind of come to you about listening? Is it
My big thing is, and I think part of it was when Dickon was on, was and it may have been with just you and the group. If you're thinking while they're talking, you're not listening.
Yep.
And that's where I catch myself. And it kind of clicks. So yeah, that's what I do. I'm thinking ahead instead of just listening.
Beautiful, man. What a gift. You've got that knowledge for life now.
Yeah.
You're going to listen to everybody so much more different from now on. When you remember. Love it. Thanks, Jerry.
I catch myself.
Yeah, exactly. That's all we do. A man came, did some work with us. He said, Dave, it's 3 days in. What do you want me to do with this knowledge? And I thought to myself, that's a really fair question. And the only thing that occurred to me to say was, I just want you to notice. That's all I want you to do is just notice. I just want you to notice everything we've talked about. I just want you to notice it. That's it. You catch yourself. You notice. That's it, man. Love it. Jerry, thank you so much, man. That was Kendra. I remember that one. It was Kendra's. So I can't answer that. Paul Mackey's not here, but I think he cheered the fuck up. I think he cheered the fuck up. I think if he was here, he would. What do you think? I'm going to put this down to, what do you reckon? Ange, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it crossed her off. He seemed really happy.
Yeah, well, I spoke to him just before today, and he said, I can't make it. He said, my Wi-Fi's down. He said, I'm so gutted. I'm going to try and make it. I'm going to try and get to, he couldn't get hold of his girlfriend, his friend. But he said he's sorry he couldn't make it, but he said he'd enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put a line through that. Top up, dealing with others in a low mood. Whose was that? Is it anybody on the screen? It was. It's Helen. Go on, love.
I get the hang of that unmuting thing eventually. Yes, top up definitely. Even though I've only been able to dip in and out a little bit, not as much as I would have liked to, but it's just been fabulous. And the dealing with others, I think Jerry asked a great question of Christine yesterday, and that definitely gave me some clarity on that. So I'm very grateful for that.
Can I put
I can't remember. You can. Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but everything sort of settled for me after that. So yeah, thank you.
Wonderful, love. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for putting this on.
Oh, thank you, love. Be crap without you, lot. Peace of mind and not being bothered by others and overthinking. Whose was that? Cal.
Yeah, I think that was sorry, I think that was mine, yeah. Yeah, just a bit more clarity on that really. But one of the things I've got most out of this retreat is just about compassion, like I said at the start of this session, really, about how all things are not separate and we all sort of came from the same source. That's sort of what I've sort of picked up. So yeah.
Has it brought you any peace of mind?
I think it has in a way. Yeah, I think you kind of see people, they have in their own little world, a bubble, they're thinking, and you don't have to see it as it has to affect you because you're sort of. I kind of see it like thinking in a way like seasons, if that makes sense. You have good thinking, bad thinking, but it's all the same. And I think I like what you said yesterday with the rainbow analogy, with there's no wrong feeling. that sort of hit me quite hard. You know, I thought, wow, you know, because we're so programmed to thinking, oh, this, you know, this thinking's bad, or this thinking's not very nice. But really, it's just the same. All thinking, thoughts, feelings is the same. So, yeah, thought that was quite a good analogy to use. So.
Cool, man. Thank you for that. So you were looking for at the beginning when I asked you, you said you were looking for peace of mind and not being bothered by others. And then there was another thing of overthinking.
Yeah.
How do you sit with all that now?
I think I'm more sort of, it's more for compassion really for how people are in their own sort of state, I think. And
nice.
Try not to take it too personally, really, what other people are doing, and try not to get caught up in your thinking quite so much. I'm quite guilty of that, overthinking things, and
we all can be, man.
Or being hard on yourself. You know, I think we're all a bit guilty of that, aren't we? Being hard on ourselves when we don't really need to be. You know.
That saying, isn't there? And it always comes out when somebody dumps somebody, and everybody goes, "Don't say that. That's the biggest cop out going." And that is, it's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
There's never a more true word spoken. In all interactions with people, it's never the other person, it's always myself. I'm upset with somebody. Well, it's me that's created that experience. I could see that from an infinite amount of potential ways, angles, but I've locked onto that one and I'm running with that one. I think that's the truth. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Do you want me, can I put a line through that, or are you out on the fence, or?
No, put a line through it. I'll say go for it.
Annette's not here. No, Annette's not here. Annette's was, what's the truth, the body thing that she was talking about. Do you think she got that answered? I'm not going to put a line through that. She's not here. Reground. Whose was reground? Andy, lad.
That was mine, Dave. That's what I thought I was looking for, or I didn't know what I was looking for, so I said a regrounding. But it's this feeling I was looking for, and I've got it in spades, and I'd forgotten what it was like. And Kelly spotted when I got it, and yeah, it's been amazing for me. Thanks.
Bless you, man. It's so nice to meet you, buddy, and I'm so glad you. Do you know what? I'm so glad you went on your journey. What a frigging valuable journey that is. What a valuable,
yeah.
What a valuable journey. You start to see the value. I remember working in a prison with a lad called, he was, you are Scouse, aren't you?
Woollyback.
Woollyback, right, all right. Well, this is a proper Scouser, like, called Lee. He was about, I think he's about 17 foot tall. And big Scouse lad, like, and ex-Liverpudlian gangster. The stories he told were just insane. But he'd come off drugs and he found his way to a sober life, and him and I were going into prisons and sharing and doing talks and stuff. And I remember saying to him, "Lee, did you ever think your criminal background and your history would have a financial value and such a value to other people?" He went, "Oh my God, no, I've never thought about that. Oh my, that's so true, innit? It was no waste. It wasn't a waste." I'm like, "No, what wasn't a waste? Isn't that because it only dawned on me at the time as I was dawning on me as I was saying it? It wasn't a waste. Look at all the shit we went through, all the hard times, and we can now help other people because of it. All these hard times we've gone through in our lives, they're not a waste. They're a learning. They're a learning. They are of such value to us. I think when we approach that life with that manner, when times get hard, you're going to learn something through this. Suddenly the hard time can look quite exciting. That hard time is going to come to an end. It always does. It always does. Nothing is permanent. And on the other side, we're going to have learnt something else. I always think the hard learnings are where we have been more fixed in our ego. That's the hard learnings. Beautiful thing when you start to see through that, when that aspect of ego gets shown for what it was. Hey, it's been really nice to have you on here, mate. Really nice to meet you. God bless, bud. Reground, put a line through it. All right. Gaining insight into the nature of life. Can anybody remember whose that was? Remember somebody saying it? Perhaps not on. All right. Somebody said the feeling. I'm looking for the feeling. Perhaps not on. All right. Well,
Hey,
that's not bad.
Dave, I'm just thinking I can take that one.
Yeah.
Because that was pretty what I would have said. Because
Right.
I said that on our second in-person retreat. I'm just looking for, I've come here to feel the principles. And I remember coming away thinking, oh my God, did I feel the principles? And yeah, and then that's, you know, I love that when that happens to me. And I love watching it happen to other people. And I love it when I spot it. And I always call it when I spot it, which is what I did to Andy. And I just fills me with such joy seeing other people wake up to the principles. So that just gives me anyway, thanks.
Cheers, Cal, love. You see, I love that. I remember I always talk about this, but in that same group where that lady forgave those people who robbed her phone, I remember looking at these 30 people. They were all black, and there was 3 whiteys sat at the front of the room. And I remember standing there and shitting myself, thinking, I've got 3 days. Most of these people probably don't even want to be here. And the only thing that came out of my mouth was, so, do you want to tell me your problems? And then I was like, what did you say that for, you dickhead? And all of a sudden, I'm like writing all these problems down on this board. And I'm like, oh. And there was things like, my contract's up in 6 months and I don't know what I'm going to do. My boss is a pain in the ass. There's infighting in our work. My marriage isn't doing so well. There's things like, my daughter's on crystal meth, tick they call it. My daughter's a prostitute. My son was murdered. I'm harbouring my nephew from gangsters and the police. I'm hiding him. All this stuff, some of it kind of like stuff I don't understand, contracts and stuff like that. And the rest of it was stuff I don't understand. And I remember looking at it and going, what the fuck have you just done, you idiot? You've just made yourself look really stupid. You know nothing about any of these problems. And I shit you not, there was 4 pages of this, of problems. 4 pages. There's 30 people in that room. Stood there, I took a deep breath, and all of a sudden this voice came in my head, this thought came and said, you're not here to solve their problems, Dave. You're here to introduce them to the principles. You're here to introduce them to the nature of mind. You're here to introduce them into how reality is born. At the end of the 3 days, I said, just out of interest, can I go back to this board? And when I went back, some of them already had lines put through them. I was like, whose was this one? They go, that was mine. I said, why do you put a line through it? How come? She said, oh, I'm not bothered by that anymore. No, I've had a conversation with somebody. I figured out how I'm going to solve the problem. We're sorted. We're good. Line through it. And there was 3 or 4 that had lines through it. They'd done it themselves. And the rest of them, we went round. And every single one, we put a line through. Every single one. And we didn't speak about their problems. Didn't speak about contracts, didn't speak about murder, we didn't speak about drugs, we didn't speak about hiding people, we didn't speak about relationships or anything like that. We spoke about the nature of the principles, and all these problems solve themselves. That is when I was so grateful that I had that stupid idea to think to ask that question, because it showed me something, that we have something here that can solve all the world's problems. And everybody on this screen now has got the knowledge. And you're going to go out and you're going to speak to people. And it'll maybe just be, how are you doing? Nice to see you. And a smile. And you'll help to lift somebody's day. Or somebody may come to you and go, you've changed. What's your secret? And you better say, I don't know really. Well, I've learned about this thing. It's had a bit of an impact on my life, actually. This world isn't going to change from the top down. It's going to change from the bottom up. When I say the bottom up, I mean everyday people. As they change, the world changes. And everybody on here is a lighthouse, without exception. Without exception. Everybody's a lighthouse. You can help people now. Because you found it yourself. You know it exists. Jerry, you've learned how to listen. And you'll know what to say. That goes for all of us. Don't underestimate yourselves, please. Please. Because what looks like a small insight to you can be the difference between life and death for somebody else. I remember one man came to our community group. He'd been stuck in the system for 20 years, medicated up to his eyeballs. Came to one community group. Next day, he's agoraphobic. 20 years, hadn't left his house. And the only reason why I bumped into him was because he was getting new medication from the doctors and he was with his wife and he was fucking terrified walking down the street. And he saw me and he went, I saw him, I was like, Nick, you can see it's on our website. You won't mind me speaking about this. He's spoken about openly. It's on our website. We interviewed him. I said, Nick. And he went, who are you? I said, and his wife went, it's Dave Elleray. And he went, where's all your hair gone? Because he used to shave all my hair off at that point. He went, never mind that. That stuff you talk about, does it work? I said, I don't really think work is the right word. I said, but if somebody hears something into it, it can change their lives. When is it? Thursday. I'm coming. And he just walked off. Now, he told me he had no intention of coming. He just said that to have a conversation so he could leave. Now, it turns out that Thursday, he was sat on his sofa and he stood up. He walked out to his car. He got in his car. He drove down and he said, I've got no idea why I'm even here. And he sat down and he was terrified. He was shaking. He physically shaking, sat with about 15 other people. He was terrified. And he was quiet. And he sat there for the whole time. And then he got up and he left and he went home. The next day, I got a text off him and it said, you'll never guess where I am. So I texted him back, where are you? And I was thinking, oh God, I bet it's bloody cells or something like that. Because it was an old friend of mine. We used to do a lot of drugs and get up to a lot of mischief together. And he said, no. He said, I'm at the other end of town. I've been out for 5 hours. I felt different this morning. So I thought I'd take the dog for a walk to the end of the road to see if I could make it there and back. He said, and I got to the end of the road and he said, and I realized I'm okay. He said, so I've just walked to the other end of town. He said, Dave, I'm free. Thank you. Now, in that year, that man, he got a job, he got a promotion, he lost 6 stone in weight, he stopped drinking alcohol, he came off state benefits, he allowed Christmas for the first time in 20 years for his family. And I remember him saying, and it's all down to you, pointing at me. I said, it's not. I said, you did it. I said, we haven't spoken about quitting drinking. We haven't spoken about losing weight. We haven't spoken about you getting a job or getting a promotion. We haven't spoken about Christmas. You've done that. You did that, Nick. I said, but can I ask you one question? Is there something you heard that, what was it you heard? He went, I know exactly what it was I heard, Dave. I said, what's that? And he said, when you said the past no longer exists, it's just a thought within my mind. To me, that's so obvious. To me, that's almost, I can really take that for granted. I can really think that I can almost diminish the value of that realization because it's so obvious to me. And I think in that moment, I realized how something that looks really, really obvious and small to us could be the difference between life and death for somebody else. The difference between living a life and not being able to leave the prison of your own home that you've created, or walking your dog free to the other end of town, and then doing whatever from then onwards. Don't think you need to get anywhere before you start helping people. You were already it. You're already there. We're all already there. And so are they. They just don't know it. Callum, can you text me your telephone number, please, mate? Thank you, Mary Love. I won't try and pronounce your name either. Jerry, I've got your number. And Andy, yeah, of course you can, mate. I've got your number. I'm just going to write them down before I close this off because I think when I close it, it might just get rid of that.
Jerry, is it hot where you are? Jerry?
No, we're winter. It's 30 something, 31 degrees out right now. We had a little bit of snow last night.
Oh, okay. I don't know, you just look warm. We're all freezing here.
I've got my heavy sweater on and
Oh yeah, actually I can see that now. It's a bit of a
got a
giveaway.
big picture window here that the sun comes through, so
Fair enough. It's cold here.
Yeah, it's lovely. I love this weather.
It's just rained in Suffolk all day.
Has it?
Non-stop. It's like, ooh.
Cool. Right, Cal. If you can text us, Callum, well done, mate. Might even have your number somewhere. Cool. Sorry about that, everyone. All right. And anybody else who's watching this on catch up. If you wish to be added to a WhatsApp group where we just put out information about what Freedom Thinking is doing, just email us at info@freedomthinking.co.uk with your name, your country, where you're at. Just makes it a bit easier for us, and your telephone number. Jerry, would I need to put pot +1 in front of yours?
Yeah, I believe so. I think that's how it, yeah.
And yeah, you've put plus, yeah, so Mary, I think I got your, yeah, you've done yours. Perfect. Right, everyone. Thank you all so much. I didn't know how it was going to be today because it's Monday and I thought everybody might be at work, but thank you all so much for showing up. Thank you for being part of this. Thank you for making this a really, really beautiful event. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm just going to unmute everybody and they can all say goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.
I
Ta-ra.
say this, you know, I don't even know the hell to do that. I'm not going to do that. You lot unmute yourselves and say goodbye. I just talk a good.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Loads of love, everyone, and look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Thanks, Deb.
Thank you.
Hey, loads of love. God bless.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
God bless, Mary. Thanks so much, love. Marina, God
Hey,
bless.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Cole. Thanks, Kath.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care, everyone. See you, Helen, love.
Bye.
See you, Cal. See you, Callum. See you, Jerry.
See ya. Bye.
Thanks,
See you,
Dave.
Helen. God bless, love. Thank you.